Hey guys, Dixie bringing you the ultimate preview for the highly anticipated Hogwarts Legacy. I'll break it down into categories, so if you want, use the timestamps below. I'll be going through old and new information and some incredibly exciting things that will convert even non-fans of the series. Let's get right into it. In Hogwarts Legacy, you start in the year late as a 5th year student. This is in the late 1800s as well, so it's not the Hogwarts you're used to, which was set in the 1990s. Your professors may be different, but you'll still attend classes, brew potions, duel students, and more. You can explore the castle, discover secrets, find dungeons and passageways while exploring the great open world around the castle. What you do and what kind of wizard you become is part of the appeal of Hogwarts Legacy, as your choices, even down to the house you choose, affects the overall story, making the game highly replayable. Learn more about ancient magic, why you have an affinity for it, and who's seeking to harness it to destroy wizard kind amidst a looming goblin rebellion. You may be the one who decides the fate of the entire wizarding world. You can highly customize your witch or wizard, from your face to hairstyle, skin tone, and even the type of glasses you can start with. But yes, you can get more glasses during gameplay with the gear system that lets you further customize your look and stats. More on this later. There seems to be very little barriers, as hairstyles that usually are reserved for females, for example, like long pink waves, are able to be put on a male frame. You can also designate the character a witch or wizard if you wish to play the game as one and be referred to as such. You can choose either a masculine or feminine voice, but can play around with the pitch to make it suit the character you're making. So the game is trans friendly for those in the community that aren't boycotting it. There are games on Steam about sleeping with Hitler and others where you can decapitate children, so how friendly a game is shouldn't be the determining factor, but it's nice nonetheless that the devs cared. To further customize, you can do the expected and change your complexion, add moles, scars, eye color, and change your eyebrows and eyebrow color. You can then select your difficulty. I would recommend normal, as it's how the devs intend you to play, though if you want to feel like a magic god, story and easy are available to you, or hard if you like a challenge. This would require good timing and good use of the game's mechanics. You then name yourself and then pick whether you want to be in the witch or the wizard dormitory like I mentioned before. The rest of your character customization comes while playing the game. You can go back and change your hairstyle, change your hair color and so on during gameplay, but you can't change core shapes like your face, so be sure before you lock in your choice. But let's be real, a lot of you will be spending hours on this screen anyway. This is going to be a big topic, so grip your wands tight. Combat in Hogwarts Legacy isn't just a tacked on feature. You will need to hone your dueling skills if you want to thrive in the game, or at the very least develop ways to stealthily avoid combat. Both goblins and dark wizards will be common threats as you try to unveil the mysteries of the story. Combat is a dance between offense, defense, and utility. Getting the perfect balance will have you dancing like the best duelist you see in the movie. Defensively, you have the ability to reflect spells with the spell Portkey, which you have access to early. However, enemies can do the same. To break through the enemy's shields, you have to use the right spells. Thankfully, they've color-coded it for idiots like me. Break through violet shields with 4 spells that are highlighted purple, like the Summoning Charm Accio for example. The spell brackets are damage, force, and control. The dark art's able to break through any colored shield, but more on this later. You'll need to pay attention to what color shields your enemies have in order to quickly break through them with the corresponding spell. So using Accio on this enemy not only cast the spell, but broke the shield and opened this enemy up to basic shots that would normally be blocked. Speaking of blocking, when you see this kind of halo around your head, it means a spell is incoming, so tapping the triangle button by default will deflect the attack with Portkey. If you hold the triangle though and get the timing right, you deflect the attack and counterattack with Stupefy, which stuns the enemy, rewarding you for being a good duelist. However, if you don't feel confident, you can always roll out of the way of the spell instead, and this is necessary when fighting enemies that attack you in a way that brings up a red halo, which is an unblockable attack in most cases. You also might see items in the environment highlighted with R1. By tapping that button, you can use that item against your enemies. This is using ancient magic that the devs don't want to go into heavily just yet. forget. When you see the L1 and R1 buttons over the head of an enemy, you can press them to burn the bar above your health, which builds as you combo enemies to unleash a devastating ancient magic attack. These are a few examples of this. In order to equip and cast spells quickly, the devs have adopted what they call a spell diamond. By holding R2 on the PlayStation controller and pressing any of the face buttons, and excuse me, not sure what buttons they would be on PC, but surely you can map them how you see fit, you can cast the spell highlighted, X for Accio in this case, and triangle for Leviosa. However, if you simply tap R2, you cast what is called a basic shot, which you can see wizards and witches firing off at each other during the dueling dance in the movies that I mentioned before. During the course of the game, you can gain up to 4 spell diamonds. That equals up to 16 spells you can slot in and access almost instantly. Essential spells are the spells devs want on the controller at all times, and you cast with the D-pad. Revelio is one of these spells, and it's left on the D-pad, where the right is a grid and you can swap to other spell diamonds, making it easy to switch between them. There are around 20 spells you can play within the game, most of which can be upgraded with the skill system. For example, most spells have a cooldown, and that can be reduced with talents. Spells have their own core identity in terms of what they do and how they interact with the world. When you go into the talent system, you can power them up and change them. Some talents allow you to link the fates of enemies, so if one gets stunned, they all will, for example. Some talents let you focus on potions and plants, some let you be sneaky by turning you invisible, some let you play out the good guy defense against the dark arts fantasy, others drastically change how you approach the battlefield. This is especially true when it comes to the dark arts, because as you go down that path, you'll notice a different play style in combat. Speaking of, here's a look at the dark arts arena. You get this with the premium edition or can purchase separately if you wish. In this arena, you can practice using the dark art curses like Avada Kedavra, Imperio, Crucio, and the blasting curse Configuro. These unforgivable curses break through all shield charms and don't need to be color coded, making them especially potent and turning off the need to be, for lack of a better word, controlled and methodical in combat. You're less a dancing duelist and more of a blunt object. By entering the dark arts arena, you can test out the use of dark arts without actually committing to it in the story and gameplay. You can always unlock these unforgivable curses in the base game, but the arena lets you try them before you buy, so to speak. Remember, going down the dark path and casting dark spells requires legitimate desire to cause harm and pain, so it'll have story implications. This is a look at Avada Kedavra, and you can see it quite literally is the death curse, killing this Ashwinder scout instantly. The devs want to stay true to its effectiveness, so it will be powerful even in situations you wouldn't think, like killing large enemies, example, trolls. Remember, in the lore there is no counterspell for Avada Kedavra. You need to dodge it, or like Dumbledore did, put something in between it and its target. To balance its power, it has an extremely long cooldown. Now this is Crucio, which does damage over time, and this is Imperio. With Imperio, the enemy now fights for us. No doubt based on the Sebastian Sallo's Dark Legacy trailer, there will be a storyline involving the use of dark arts and its consequences or benefits based on your perspective. The player then switches spell diamonds to use some non-forbidden spells and continues to combo, unleashing some ancient magic as the bar builds up. Some of the spells include Descendio and Incendio. You'll notice that upgrading Incendio sends out a blast wave. You can finish off your opponents using this ancient magic lightning bolt. You can also create items in the form of potions and combat plants to aid you in battle. The rock skin potion, for example, covers your skin in rocky material that reduces the damage you receive, which is good against hard-hitting enemies like trolls. Here's a look at the item wheel. You can see the mandrake here, for example, which you can pull out to stun enemies. You take a potion that increases your cooldown regeneration and bam, Avada is back up in a flash. You can also place down a venomous tentacula, which acts like a turret. There are plenty of plants you can employ to help you in battle, and through the talent system, you can upgrade their effectiveness. On the side of the screen as you fight, there are dueling feats. Completing these will net rewards and help you not just fall into one boring style. Finally, you can befriend students during your play time. By doing so will get you benefits, one of which is letting them follow you during your travels and aid you in combat. Each unique student has their own story and most likely benefits, like Poppy enjoys the benefit of befriending beasts easily. Not only do you have a huge school to explore, you have a huge open world as well, which you can find items, fight enemies, take missions, tame beasts and more. Let's start with the school. Each common room has its own theme, design, music and outfits. The detail is truly incredible. Even the windows in the schools change based on the season, these being summertime windows. Here is the world during autumn and here it is during winter. The devs wanted no two hallways to look the same. Each should have its own personality as it helps orientate the player, though at any time you can seamlessly leave Hogwarts and walk around the open world. You can fly around on this early broom, and there's a shop in Hogsmeade where you can buy others. With the broom you can visit hamlets and other towns around Hogwarts, though you can also jump on your flying mount, and although it's slower, it's a good way to travel around and take in the map. This one is the pre-order bonus Onyx Hippogriff. Do note you'll see icons on the minimap and you'll get rewarded for exploring and checking these out. The devs mentioned that everywhere you can see from Hogwarts is a place you can visit. Seeing how beautiful everything looks gives me hope. The school is huge and functions like a hub area, and when something can be interacted with, it will be clearly shown. For example, this girl here has a quest for us or something to say. How you interact with people choice-wise could influence things game-wide, like characters' lives or the ending of the game. You explore and discover mountains of secrets, some hidden behind elaborate puzzles you need to solve using the abilities you collect. You can also find things like these field guide pages you can use Revelio to collect. You get experience for this, but you also add to your field guide, which is a book of challenges for you to complete. It's given to you early on in the game in order for you to catch up to the other students since you're a late 5th year entry. It's really just a pretty coding on top of an RPG menu that contains things you should be used to, like an inventory, talents, gear slots, maps, quest logs, mail, settings, collections and challenges. So filling up your collections and your challenges will net rewards. The lore behind this is the book will seek out challenges in the world for you to grow and learn in order to catch up. There are over 100 field guide pages in Hogwarts alone. Here's an example of a collectible page you have to grab using the right spell, in this case Accio. Here's a puzzle we move on from, but my assumption is by stopping this tiny localized storm spell, it will net a reward or a quest. You can expect tons of weird puzzles and secrets like this around the school and a ton of collectibles. We can be tasked to find gobstones hiding in high places or find keys that open magic surprises. Here's a door that has a level 1 lock that you can't access right now. There are also fast travel points around the world, including in Hogwarts, in the form of flue flames. When you get close to one, it activates by lighting. Then you can fast travel to that point at any time by opening the map. In Hogwarts, you have access to a customizable area that you can make your own in various ways. You can do various things here like restock, craft, recoup, and farm animal parts. Yes, more on that soon. Here's an example of changing themes from a scientific ceiling to a botanical one. You can also conjure objects into your space, from rugs to plants to utility items like planting pots and potion stations. These items require resources though, like 2 moonstone, which you can find during your travels for this small scientific rug. You can change the color and size of most items too, though there's a maximum amount of things that can be conjured, indicated by the budget bar. You can purchase recipes for these conjurations at tomes and scrolls in Hogsmeade, and you can find them as gameplay rewards. This is also the space to bring your gear to be identified and to upgrade. You can upgrade via the loom. Gear features one primary or defensive stat by default, but can be upgraded with magical materials to add and improve secondary stats and apply traits. Multiple small upgrades provide meaningful boosts in combat, so we are advised not to neglect this. These cerulean rivet gloves have no noticeable stats at the moment and only a level 1 trait slot, but we jump into our discovered traits and add necromantic protection to decrease damage we take from inferi, costing us 1 puff skin fur. Here's the snowy owl scarf with no stats. By viewing upgrade, we can add a secondary stat, in this case defense, from 0 to 4 for 2 mooncalf fur. We can then apply the anti-venom 1 trait, so we have a piece of gear that has 4 defense and decreased damage from spiders. If you want to change the gear's looks, you can do that with the edit screen, not the loom. You can identify items that are unknown at the identification station. You can make combat plants at the potting station. The Chinese chomping cabbage, for example, is a medium plant that takes 25 minutes to grow. When released on the battlefield, it chomps at all enemies. Be sure to gather as much as you can to craft items that help you. So how do we get these magical resources like the mooncalf fur we mentioned before? Well, most from beasts, which leads us into the vivarium. This is where we care for beasts we befriend in our travels. Here's a Graphorn, mooncalf, Niffler, and Kneazle in a space of their own. To care for them, you have to pet and feed them. When they feel safe enough, they'll gift you their magical ingredients, so to speak. So how do you get these beasts? Well, in the overworld, you can find beast dens. In the dens are unique beasts, and you can rescue them by feeding them and brushing them and building that relationship. You can then bring them back to your space, in which you can conjure things to decorate, as well as conjuring utility items like this breeding pen, which you can use to multiply your beasts. You can also place a beast feeder, which will automatically feed your beast to save you time. You can also place a toy box, which contains items you can use to play with your beast, with each beast having their own favorite, like the mooncalf liking the moon ball. Also, finally, be sure to name your beasts. As you progress through the story, you'll unlock more vivariums of different themes. This one is a meadow theme, it's big, it's open, it's bright, but there's others like a swamp, for example. Finally, I want to close with this point. Don't let anyone tell you you can't enjoy the game. With growing inflation, cost of living, social unrest, suffering, pain, war, and your own personal struggles you may be dealing with, you're allowed to enjoy what you enjoy. Don't let others bully you because you aren't doing what they say, or don't fight exactly how they want. You do you, and you take joy in whatever you want. Bullies want to make you unhappy because they are themselves, and they don't care if they need to manipulate and hurt you to make a point. Let them get the help they need, and you focus on helping those closest to you, yourself included. If Hogwarts Legacy is something that will help your mood, play it without reservation. All the best, and don't subscribe unless you want to help me out. Ciao, friends.